uh, any type of system that has nodes and connections, etc. An integrated and interdependent system that works together to function. An engine of a car would be a good example of this. So just as these things are, so does our social system work. Now, for forever, the family, and this is historical, the family has always played a role. Of course, varies between different peoples and locations, but the family always plays a role within the greater system. And as far as America is concerned, the family had a very specific role within that system that was connected to other systems like community, that was connected to things like industry, that was connected to things like institution, and then was connected to things like the state, low level government, higher level government. There was all of these connections that would keep the system functioning properly. So what I'm getting at is later, once those systems started to break apart through progressivism, once these systems started to break apart, the family started to lose its position. And not only were families in many cases more unhealthy, but what you discover is that the other areas that used to feed those in the family emotional support are gone. What do I mean? Let's think about the third place. The third place are small, whether that be businesses, organizations, areas of play, areas of interaction, social environments within a community. We can consider these third places, right? I like to talk about the barber shop is a great third place. The coffee shop, tea shops. Now you go into these places, people are on laptops or phones. There was a time where people used to go to these locations and sit down and have great conversations with complete strangers or very familiar faces. And that was even better when people would go to these places to see these familiar faces, such that they would just go to these places to see these people for a time and go about their day. This breeds a social fabric that builds upon their emotional health. So you would have third places. You would also have the workplace. You would also have other forms of institutions, fitness arenas, swimming pools, public local swimming pools. I'm sure anyone could come up with hundreds of different spots like this. And these places we would be connected to other places, even when we talk about government. And this isn't just small towns, because I know when you think about this, you think of small town. But there was a time when even cities and urban areas were like this, though they were a little more segregated based on ethnicity. When you go into those little ethnic, what they would call ghettos or neighborhoods, you would discover that they had all of these different connections. You know, I remember me and Theo did a tricknology a while back, and he was like, I remember there was a time where if you went outside, one of the neighborhood older men could discipline other people's children, because it was like a family dynamic in the community. Everyone knew each other and everyone trusted each other, and people were righteous. For the most part, of course, there's always bad apples. But there was like this general sense of good, of virtue. And these third places, institutions, and even we could talk about small government or local government. You might know the mayor. The mayor might eat at the same diner you eat at. Everyone had some type of connectivity, some very close degree of separation. This dynamic, this system creates fluidity, but it also creates a system of meaning and purpose that builds upon an individual's emotional health, such that they don't have to rely solely on their significant other, or their mother, or their father, or their children for emotional support, because they have a web of support through the presentation of relationship. Relationship is what I'm getting at. Relationship is probably the most important thing in the human earthly experience. As social beings, as beings that require sociality to exist, relationships form the fiber that keeps not just connected, but gives these things fruit, but also gives these things stability. Technocracy, hyper development of technology, slices these fibers. Between 2008 and 2018, let's just say 2003, the beginning of MP3s, because this is what really took us apart from listening to music together, enjoying music together, such that we go into our own worlds of music and create libraries of our style, curating our sound by all of our favorite artists, which would eventually develop in ourselves, curating our own identities through social media. We didn't know what was coming, but this was just the early steps towards that. So what you discover is 2003 to 2018, technology has developed so fast, and as it crept into so many aspects of our life, more and more these institutions, the system that was holding up existence, systems of institutions, industries, third places, organized communities, families, fun, sports, right? Live entertainment, all of these things started to incrementally break off, and the fabrics just begin to wither away, such that the system is broken, of course, but it's lost its connectivity, which provides that the basis for a healthy emotional person. This is why postmodern psychology and postmodern sociology is wrong about the family being the foundation of one's emotional health. Not to say it isn't today, because it is, but why is it today? Because there's nothing else for people to hold on to. There's nothing left for people to reach out to for emotional support. Because all of those systems, all of the connectivity therein no longer exists. So now people have nothing but their family. And some of us don't have that. Everyone doesn't have a family. And what if your family situation isn't very healthy? See, this system was something that would save people like that, who were born into a family that wasn't necessarily healthy, that wasn't necessarily happy or supportive, but they had options. They had third places. They had friends and family that aren't even related through blood. They had community. Hence, they were able to survive, say, if you grew up in a very traumatic, toxic family. They were able to survive and still be emotionally stable. You know, modern psychology is so wrong when they want to blame everything on the family, and the reason people are psychologically damaged is because they had a bad family. That's definitely the case today, and for the most part, because that's all we have anymore, because we don't have that dynamic system. But once there was a time when there was a dynamic system where you couldn't make that claim, and you never hear about that. So I know I took a while to just talk about this one sentence, but it just sparked that in me, and I had to get that out. So yes, we have to now not only support financially, but we have to provide them support emotionally, because they have nowhere else to get that support.